Datar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. One minute. So, we'll continue from here. So the Advaitavada, it talks about three grades of existence. Paramarthika Satta. Satta means existence. Paramarthika Satta called as ontological reality, the existence on the transcendental platform, liberated platform. Vyavaharika Satta, empirical reality, and Pratibhasika Satta or illusory reality. So the Paramarthika Satta can never be lost or negated. The Vyavaharika Satta is experienced in the empirical state of causally connected spatio-temporal experience. So Vyavaharika Satta is experienced in the empirical state, like we are experiencing different things when we are awake. We are experiencing the fan, table, building. So many people are walking in the road. But it is sublated, set aside as false in the Paramarthika state of ultimate way. Whatever we experience now, it's true in the Vyavaharika state, but it is a false from the Paramarthika point of view. That's what Advaitavadis say. So empirical existence is visible in the pragmatic objects of our daily experience in the waking state. Whatever we experience in the waking state, that is the Vyavaharika Satta. So material objects which are effects of prior causes, they are subject to destruction. But their existence which inheres in their ultimate support, that is Brahman, is not sublated. Badita. Huh? Bada means the destruction of an effect along with its cause. Bada means the destruction of an effect along with its cause. In the course of the world manifestation, material objects are destroyed, but their ultimate cause, Brahman, is not destroyed. Therefore, they are called abadya, non-sublatable. So whatever we experience in the Vyavaharika world, that is the Vyavaharika Satta. So whatever we experience in this world, they are subject to destruction in due course of time. But the ultimate support, Brahman, that is not sublated. Sublated means set aside as false. Brahman is the only reality. So Bada means the destruction of an effect along with its cause. But in the course of the world manifestation, material objects are destroyed, but their ultimate cause, Brahman, is not destroyed. Therefore, Brahman is called abadya, non-sublatable. But regarding the pratibhasika satta, so pratibhasika objects are abadya as long as they are misperceived as real. But they are negated as false or badita at other times. Like for example, in the darkness, we are mistaking the rope to be a snake. So we are misunderstanding the rope to be a snake. This is an example of a pratibhasika satta. So we are thinking that it is a snake, and once there is a light, then it is negated. Actually, it is not a snake, but it is a rope. So when a rope that was previously misperceived as a snake is later correctly perceived as it is, that means that it is a rope. So the illusory snake, along with its cause, that is ignorance, is negated, is badita. So in the pratibhasika satta, we are mistaking the rope to be a snake. And then when there is a light, we understand it is not a snake, it is a rope. Then the pratibhasika satta is negated. Or in the dream state, we are dreaming of a golden mountain. The existence of a golden mountain is perceived as real as long as you are in the dream state. Once you come out of the dream state, once you wake up, then that golden mountain is realized as something false. It is negated. So Advaitavadis say that Brahman is devoid of any qualities, devoid of any parts or divisions. So when we see a rope, it is actually Brahman covered by the avarana shakti of ignorance and projected as a rope by the vikshepa shakti of ajnana. So because according to Advaitavada, there is only one reality. Brahman is the only reality. Everything else is false. But you are seeing the rope. So you are seeing the rope. It's actually the Brahman covered by the avarana shakti of ajnana. It's actually Brahman, but it is projected as a rope by the Vikshepa Shakti of Ajnana. So, this is Vyavaharika Satta or empirical reality. When we perceive a snake in the rope, the Avarana Shakti conceals the rope and the Vikshepa Shakti projects the snake. This is the Pratibhasika Satta or illusory reality. So the Brahman concealed by the covering potency of Ajnana manifests as the Jīva. Even the Jivatma is false from the Paramarthika Satta point of view. In the Paramarthika Satta, there is no Jivatma. There is only Brahman. But you are perceiving the Jivatma now because the Brahman is concealed by the Avaranatmika Shakti of Ajnana. And then the Vikshepa Shakti projects Brahman concealed by the covering potency of Ajnana manifests as the Jīva or the individual being. And then it projects upon the Jīva the characteristics of Kartrutva, Jnatritva and Bhoktrutva. So because of the Vikshepa Shakti of Ajnana, we are thinking that the Jivatma has qualities of agency, experiential capacity, happiness, misery, delusion, and so on. All this by the Vikshepa Shakti of Ajnana. But in the ultimate, in the Paramarthika Satta, there is no Jivatma. Jivatma is one with the Brahman. There is only one Brahman. Brahman is only there. So because of the Ajnana, we are thinking that Jivatma has Kartrutva, Jnatritva, Bhoktrutva. So according to Advaita Vedanta, Jiva is not inherently endowed with the capacities of knowership, Jnatritva, agency, Kartrutva, experiential capacity, that is Bhoktrutva. Are individual instances of subjective conscious experience. So it is mere consciousness. And it is more appropriate to say that it is not inert. So other objects, stones, table, etc., they don't have consciousness. They are inert. But Atma is mere consciousness. It doesn't have inherent qualities of Jnatritva, Kartrutva, Bhoktrutva. These qualities are projected into the Jivatma by the Vikshepa Shakti of Ajnana. So with the exception of the Advaita Vedanta, the other schools, they base their theories primarily based on logic. But Advaitavada is the only school that interprets the Shastra wrongly. Advaitavada is the only school that interprets the Shastra to establish its theory of Atma. So, apart from the radical interpretation, that means the Advaitavada interpretation of the Vedanta, as propounded by Sripad Shankaracharya, there are Vaishnava schools of Vedanta, such as Vishishtadvaita of Sri Ramanujacharya, Dvaitavada of Sri Madhvacharya, Swabhavika Beda Abeda of Sri Nimbarkacharya, Shuddha Advaitavada of Sri Vallabhacharya, and Achintya Beda Beda of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all these Vaishnava schools consider the theories of the above schools. That means Nyaya, Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Charvak, Buddhism, and Advaitavada. They consider these schools as the Purva Paksha and refute them. And there are two strategies to counter these theories. One strategy is that only based on logic you counter these theories. And the other strategy is you counter these theories based on Shabda Pramana, Shastra, assisted by logic. So in the very beginning of Tattva Sandarbha, Jīva Goswami rejects the first option, that is only through logic refuting, because logic is inconclusive. Tarko apratishtanat. Logic is inconclusive. So in matters beyond sense perception, Shabda is the sole means of valid knowing. Moreover, even among the scriptures, various scriptures accepted as Shabda, but in the Shabda Pramana also there are so many scriptures are there. But even among them, Jīva Goswami argues in favor of Bhagavata Purana as the ultimate authority. That is what was established in the Tattva Sandarbha. So therefore, Jīva Goswami adopts the second strategy. You refute these theories based on Shabda, instead assisted by logic, instead of only depending on logic. So, and also we see in the Bhagavad Gita 2.25, Krishna says that what the 2.25, what the shloka? Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadeva viditvainam nanushochitum arhasi. So now the characteristic of Atma is that achintya. So because Atma is achintya, Jīva Goswami adopts the second strategy. Because something which is achintya cannot be approached through logic. Cannot be approached only through logic. So Jīva Goswami adopts the second strategy, that is based on Shastra assisted by logic. Shastra assisted by logic. To refute all of the above theories of the diverse schools. That is Charvak, Buddhism, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Mimamsa, Advaita. But the main opponent is the Advaitavad. Because the first reason is that Advaitavada bases its theories on the same scriptural revelation. Upanishads, Gita, Brahma Sutra. Therefore, it is necessary to point out the limitations and defects in the Advaitavada interpretation in order to establish the real intent of scripture. And the second reason is that Advaitavada has already done a very effective job in refuting all the other schools. Charvak, Buddhism, Jainism, Advaitavada has already defeated all these other schools. So therefore, if you defeat Advaitavada based on Shastra assisted by logic, then that is the effective strategy more efficient strategy to establish one Siddhanta. Just like suppose there's a world chess championship is there. So the last year, one person from India, Gukesh, he won the world chess championship. Now, this year, he will be fighting with somebody else. So the other person who becomes qualified to come, he will actually come, and then the previous world chess championship and the new person will be fighting against him. And then whoever wins, he will be the world chess champion for this year. So suppose like if one person has defeated 15 teams, then the other team defeats this team who has defeated 15th team, then it is equivalent to defeating all those 15 teams. Since Advaitavadas has done an effective job to defeat all the other schools, if we defeat Advaitavada, that's a more efficient way. So this is known as the principle of conquering the ace wrestler. Pradhana Malla Barhana Nyaya. So this is the brief thing about the different schools. So now, in addition to Jīva Goswami's elaboration of the intrinsic characteristic of the Jivatma based on Jamatri Muni verses. So now we come to the present anuccheda. So characteristic of the Jiva are going to be described. In addition to the elaboration of the intrinsic characteristic of the Jivatma based on Jamatri Muni's verses. These intrinsic characteristics will be described till I think the 36th or 37th anuccheda. Till the 37th anuccheda. And then after that, anuccheda 37 to 44 concentrate on the nature of the Jivatma as an integrated part of Paramatma and on the Jiva's oneness with and distinction from Paramatma. So 37 to 44 will these anuchedas will be describing the Achintya Veda philosophy. And then anucheda 45 to 47 present various other characteristics of the Jivatma. So Jiva Goswami, now in this anucheda, he begins discussing the intrinsic qualities of the Atma listed by Jamatri Muni. So by quoting the evidence from Bhagavad Purana. So the first characteristic is that Jivatma is not a Devata, not a human, or any other species of life mentioned in the first half of Jamatri Muni's first verse. Atma na devo na naro na tiryak sthavaro na cha. Na devo na naro na tiryak sthavaro na cha. So this was implied in Tattva Sandarbha Anucheda 54. So Jiva Goswami quoted the Bhagavatam verse 11.3.39, which clearly states that what is that Bhagavatam shloka? Andeshu peshishu tarush vinishchiteshu prano hi jivam upadavati tatra tatra sanne yadindriya ganehamicha prasupte kutastha ashayamrute tadanusmritirnaha. Just as the vital force remains unchanging as it accompanies the individual living being in whichever different species it may appear. whether born from the eggs, wombs, seeds, or perspiration. So the Atma is unchanging in the state of deep sleep when the senses and ego are deactivated and there is freedom to the subtle body, which is the cause of transformation. Yet upon awakening, the remembrance comes to us that we slept peacefully without awareness of anything. So this indicates that in deep sleep, the Atma is present as a pure witness, devoid of the content of sensual, mental, or egoic awareness. So that is the shloka 11.3.39. So this verse clearly says that the Atma is distinct from the physical body. Because in the deep sleep, the Atma is not in contact with the subtle body or gross body. And then after awakening, we say we had a deep sleep. The deep sleep that shows that Atma is simply a witness. So Atma is distinct from the physical body, being free from the modifications and the witness and the witness of deep sleep. So it is the physical body that assumes various appellations such as the Devata, a human being, an animal, or an immovable being. The elaborate explanation is given in the Tattva Sandarbha. Tattva Sandarbha, I think Anuccheda 54. So this is the first characteristic of the Jivatma. Jivatma is not a Devata, not a human being, not an animal. Like that. And then the second characteristic is that na deho nendriyam naiva manaprano na napi dihi. Jivatma is distinct from the body, the senses, the mind, the vital air. That's the second characteristic. The second characteristic is confirmed in the Bhagavatam Shloka 11.10.8. What is the Shloka? Since we are... This is the Shloka. Vilakshana stula sukshmat dehad atmekshita swadruk yatagnir darunho dakhyad dahakonya prakashakah. So the Atma, which is the witness and self-aware. Ikshita means witness. Swadrik means self-aware. And that Atma is Vilakshana. Vilakshana means distinct. Distinct from the Stula Sukshmat, subtle and gross bodies. Stula Deha and Sukshma Deha. And then analogy is given. In the same way, Yatha Agnir Daruno Dakhyad. In the same way that fire which burns and illuminates. What is the characteristic of the fire? Dahaka and Prakashaka. Dahaka, fire burns, and Prakashaka, it illuminates. And that fire is distinct from the wood that is burnt. Agnihi Darunoha Darunat Vilakshana. Just like the fire is distinct from the wood, similarly, Atma is distinct from the Stula Deha and Sukshma Deha. So, Atma is distinct from the Stula Deha, that is gross body, Atma is distinct from the Sukshma Deha, that is mind, intelligence, vital air, and senses. This is the second characteristic of the Jamatra Muni. Second characteristic is basically, this is the first characteristic. Atma na devo na naro na tiryak stavaro na cha. For that 11.3.39 is quoted. Second characteristic is that na deho nendriyam naiva manaprano na napidihi. This is distinct from the Stula Deha and Sukshma Deha. For that, this 11.10.8 is quoted. So that it's explained in the purport. So he gives the example of the fire and wood. Fire is hidden in the wood, but when the wood is ignited, fire becomes visible and burns the wood. One can understand from this that fire is distinct from the wood. In the same way, Atma illumines the body, mind, and so on, while remaining invisible. So, just like fire is invisible, but fire illuminates. Only Atma is invisible, but Atma only illumines the body, mind, and so on. So, the being inert, the psychosomatic instruments, that is mind, intelligence, senses, the instruments cannot function without the Atma because they are all inert. If the Atma becomes aware of its true nature, it not only illumines the body-mind complex, but it also brings to an end its bondage of identification with the body-mind complex. So, and then this commentary ends with a table. We have inserted the following chart below for consultation purposes and for the reader's information. It may be observed that many of the verses offered as pramana repeat many of the same characteristics, that is, example, witness, etc. The intrinsic qualities of the Jīva, as given in the 4 verses of Jamatra Muni, are listed in the left column, and their corresponding anuccheda headings and numbers appear on the right. So these are the 4 verses of the Jamatra Muni. Atma na devo na naro na tiryak stavaro na cha na deho nendriyam naiva manaprano na napidihi na jado na vikari cha ज्ञानमात्रात्मको न च स्वस्मै स्वयं प्रकाश स्यादेकरूप स्वरूपभाग चेतनो व्याप्तिशीलश्च चिदानन्दात्मकस्तथा अहमर्थ प्रतिक्षेत्रं भिन्नोणुर् नित्यनिर्मलः तथा ज्ञातृत्व कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्व निजधर्मकः परमात्मैक शेषत्व स्वभाव सर्वदा स्वतः. These are the 4 shlokas in which the Atma's intrinsic qualities are described. So that is explained in the tabular form. The first is that not a god, human, or any other species of life. So this is described with the present anuccheda, introduction to the Jīva Tantra. Distinct from the body, senses, and so on. Na deho nendriyam naiva mana prano na napidi. It's also described in the present anuccheda, anuccheda 19. Not inert, anuccheda 20. Not mutable, na vikari, 21st anuccheda. The Jīva is free of modifications. Not mere consciousness. Not jnana matratmako nacha. Anuccheda 22, Anuccheda 23, Anuccheda 24 to 26. Now, on all these anucchedas, this particular quality is mentioned, not mere consciousness. The Jiva is not mere consciousness. Jiva has potencies in addition to Jnana. Jiva's potency is intrinsic. So, the tabular form now, but as we go into the, we'll start with the next anuccheda. So, beginning from the next anuccheda, Jiva Goswami discusses the remaining characteristics of the Atma listed by Jamatruni. Here's a question. Show the tabs. Which tab?
Prabhuji, the slide was not moving. You were going on saying the Anuchedana. I wanted to read it, so it was stuck on point 3. So that's what I was saying.
Okay.
But I heard you say. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Now we'll go to the Anucheda 20.
Prabhuji, something similar in first canto, I think second chapter, 32nd verse or something like this, distinct from the body, the senses and so on. The Paramatma is something like that, is it? You
The
had discussed.
Paramatma is explained actually.
Yeah.
Paramatma.
In some other batch, Yes.
That is specifically about Paramatma. Same analogy comes, but it's about Paramatma. Yata Yavakito Vaknim Darushvekasvayonishu Naneva Bhati Vishwatma Bhuteshjata Tatapuman. Now we will go to the 20th Anucheda. 28th Anucheda, the third characteristic of the Jivatma, that is Na Jado. Jiva is not inert. That is being discussed. So, Jadatvam Nirasyannaha. Rejecting the self, that the self is essentially inert. So, these are all the intrinsic characteristics. That means, even in the liberated state, Jivatma is not inert. In the Nyaya Vaisheshika school, in the liberated state, Jiva becomes like an inert stone. But these are intrinsic characteristics, means these characteristics will never get lost. So we can recite the shloka. Jagrat swapna sushuptam cha.
Jagrat swapna sushupnam cha.
Gunato buddhi vrittayah.
Unato buddhi vrittayah.
Tasam vilakshano jivah.
Tasam vilakshano jivah.
Sakshitvena vinishchitah.
Sakshitvena vinikshitadah.
So, Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti, wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep are the buddhi vrittaya, conditional states of the mental faculty. Jagrati, Swapna, and Sushupti. Gunataha, they are arising out of the gunas of material nature. Tasam vilakshano jivaha. The jiva has been ascertained to be distinct from these states. Sakshitvena vinishchitaha, due to its being their witness. So, explanation of this verse. Yatu Mai Turye Stito Jakhyat. See, this is 11.13.27. Immediately after that, 11.13.28. Mai Turye Stito Jakhyat. Ityadau Parameshware api Turyatva Prasiddhihi. Sa Anyata Eva. Tanyataiva. So on the other hand, so Jivatma is different from the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. Jivatma is present as the Sakshi. On the other hand, Yatu, when we actually have the word tu, that means it's like on the other hand, you are giving a different subject matter. So on the other hand, that the self nature of being transcendent called Turiyatva. Turiyatva means the fourth state beyond the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti, beyond the three conditioned states mentioned above. This Turiyatva Parameshwarepi is found in the Paramatma also. It is a fact that is widely acknowledged. Turiyatva Prasiddhi. Turiyatva Prasiddhi means the fourth state. So, Jagrat, Jivatma is different from the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. Jiva is present as a Sakshi. I mean, Jivatma is present in the fourth state. And this fourth state is also present in the Paramatma that is widely acknowledged. Turyatva Prasiddhi. As found in the next shloka. Mayi Turiye Stito Jakhyat. Therefore, becoming established in me. Krishna is telling to Uddhava, becoming established in me, the fourth state, Jakhyat, the Jivatma should abandon the identification with the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. Now, becoming established in me, the fourth state, the Jivatma should abandon his identification with Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. Sa anyata eva. Sanyataiva. Sanyataiva means the transcendence found in the Paramatma is altogether of a different category from that belonging to a Jiva. So Jivatma is also in the Turiya state, but Paramatma is also in the Turiya state. But the Turiya state of the Paramatma is altogether of a different category from the Turiya state of the Jivatma. That is why Sa Anyata Eva. That means Turiya state of the Paramatma is of completely different category. So Jivatma is also of a fourth state, because it is distinct from the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. But the Turiya state of the Paramatma is of a different category from the Turiya state of the Jivatma. So for that, Jiva Goswami has quoted a shloka. This shloka is basically a shloka composed by Sridhar Swami in the Bhavartha Deepika. You can repeat the shloka. Virad Hiranya Garbhascha
विराळहिरण्यगर्भश्च
Karanam Chetyupadayah
कारणं चेत्युपादयः
Ishvarasya Yat Tribhirhinam
ईश्वरस्य यत् त्रिभिर्हीनं
Turiyam Yat Padam Viduhu.
तुरीयं तत्पदं विदुः.
Tatpadam. Okay. So Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana. Chet Upadayah are the three Upadis of God. Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana are the three Upadis of Ishvara. Ishvarasya Upadayah. The three Upadis of God in his capacity as the Supreme Immanent, as the Ishvara. But he who is free from these, Tribirhinam, he who is free from these is called the Turiya, the fourth dimension. Tat Padam Viduhu, or in other words, the supreme transcendence. Therefore, the Turiya of the Paramatma is altogether of a different category from that belonging to the Jivatma. When we say Jivatma is a Turiya, Jivatma is different from Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. But the Jivatma tends to identify with the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. So therefore, Jivatma is told by Krishna should meditate should absorb himself in the Bhagavan in order to abandon his identification with the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupta. But the Bhagavan's Turiya is of a different category. So when we say Bhagavan is Turiya, Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana are the three Upadhis of Ishvara. One who is free from these is called a Turiya, in other words, the supreme transcendence. So Vasudevasya Chaturvyuhe Turyakaksha Krantatvadva. Vasudevasya Chaturvyuhe Turyakaksha Krantatvadva. So alternatively, Paramatma's Turiyatva is distinct because Vasudeva occupies the position of transcendence. Vasudevasya Chaturvyuhe Turyakaksha Krantatvadva. Vasudeva occupies the position of transcendence. Turyakaksha. That means of utter non-involvement with the Upadhis. Among the members of the Chaturvyuha. Among the Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva occupies the position of Turiya. Whereas Shankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha, they are said to be figuratively connected to the causal, subtle and gross upadhis respectively. So this will be explained more what it means. It will be in the commentary, it will be explained. So there are three conditional states.
Sorry, Prabhuji, to interrupt, but I have not understood this Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Karana are three limiting headings of God in his capacity.
The commentary, it will be explained. We'll go through it. So essentially, Jīva Goswami is saying that the Turiya state of the Paramatma is of a different category from the Turiya state of the Jivatma. So the Jivatma, when we say Turiya, Jivatma is different from the Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti because Jivatma is the witness of these states. Therefore, Jivatma is the Turiya. When we say Paramatma is the Turiya, Paramatma or the Supreme is actually different from Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana. Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana are the three Upadhis of Ishvara. And one who is free from these is called the Turiya, the fourth dimension, the supreme transcendence. So it will be explained more clearly in the commentary. So the three conditional states, Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti, are the states of Buddhi or Antakarana, the interior psychic apparatus. And these states are caused by Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So the Jagrati state is caused by Sattva-guna, Swapna is caused by Rajoguna, deep sleep is caused by Tamoguna. But the Jīva is distinct from these three states. An observer is distinct from the observed. And the observer must be a conscious being. So according to Krishna, Jīva is the witness of the three states of Buddhi. Therefore, Jīva is a conscious being. So when a person is awake or when a person is dreaming, so the mind undergoes modifications according to the external or internal experience. And this modification of the mind is called a vritti. So in the deep sleep, because the subtle body and the gross senses are inactive, there is no vritti formed in the buddhi, in the deep sleep. In the deep sleep, there is no awareness of oneself as happy or miserable, male or female, or any sensations from the outside world. So this lack of any specific vritti is also called sushupta vritti. Lack of any specific vritti is also called a sushupta vritti, or the mental state in which there is non-occurrence of other mental phenomena. So in the state of deep sleep, there is only awareness of I, which is also inexpressible because of the absolute unawareness of anything else. There is only awareness of I. And it is inexpressible because of the absolute awareness of anything else. So the I consciousness, or in other words, the subject consciousness, has relevance only in relation to objects which are different from I. So upon awakening, the remembrance comes, I slept well. This remembrance is possible only if the person who remembers has experienced a refreshing sleep, the sushupti vritti. So that means even in deep sleep, the witness of sleep is present. So from this, Jīva Goswami concludes that the Jīva is distinct from Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti, and therefore Jīva is called the Turiya. Turiya means the fourth. And now, Bhagavan Vasudeva is also called Turiya. Not only because he is transcendental to material nature, but also because he occupies the fourth portion, Turiya Kaksha, of non-involvement with the Upadhis among the members of the Bhagavan's quadruple expansions. What are the quadruple expansions? Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So the Bhagavan is called as Turiya because not only is transcendental, but because he occupies the fourth position of non-involvement with the Upadhis. So therefore, he is beyond the three Purushavataras. That is Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Because Vasudeva is the source of all these three Purushavataras. So the verse referred, the verse which is quoted is from the Bhavartha Deepika. This verse is also cited twice in the Bhagavad Sandarbha. So as it relates to the present discussion, we can include here an excerpt from the commentary to Bhagavad Sandarbha, Anuccheda 4. So this Bhagavan is called Turiya because he is free from any limiting agents, any upadhis. And the upadhis are of three types, as given in the verse quoted in Bhavartha Deepika. So what are the three types of upadhis? Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana are the three upadhis of God in his capacity as the supreme immanent. But one who is free from these is called the Turiya, the fourth dimension. Or in other words, the supreme transcendence. So there are three upadhis, Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana. So Virat is the grass upadhi. Hiranyagarbha is the subtle upadhi. And Karana is the Maya, the causal upadhi. So these three, Virat is the upadhi of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Hiranyagarbha is the Upadhi of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Karana is the Upadhi of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. So these three restrictions apply only to the Purusha manifestations, who are known as Shirodakshai, Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Karanodakshai Vishnu. But the Bhagavan, replete with 6 opulences, is beyond these 3 Upadhis. Vasudeva is the source of these 3 Purushas. Vasudeva is beyond these 3 Upadhis. So Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana, these are the Upadhis of Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Of course, when you say Upadhi, it doesn't mean that we have to, one shouldn't misunderstand. That means they are having a Upadhi like we have Upadhis of material body. So Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, they are in transcendental platform. But they are functioning. They are dealing with the material realm. So therefore, they are connected with these 3 Upadhis. Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Karanodakshaya Vishnu, they are connected with the 3 Upadhis. Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana. So but the Bhagavan is beyond these 3 Upadhis. So therefore, the Turiya of the Bhagavan is altogether different from the Turiya of the Jivatma. So that is the explanation here. In Bhagavad Sandarbha, Anuccheda 4, it's explained. If you want, we can go through a little more of them. So the Bhagavan is called Turiya because he is free from all the limiting adjuncts, which are of 3 types, as given in the verse quoted. Virat is the grass Upadhi, Hiranyagarbha is the subtle Upadhi, and Karana is the Maya, the causal Upadhi. These 3 restrictions apply to the 3 Purushas. But Bhagavan is beyond these 3 Upadhis. Alternatively, the meaning of the word Turiya is that Bhagavan is the 4th dimension beyond the states of Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti. While commenting on the Bhagavatam, Sridhar Swami writes that the Purusha or Paramatma has Prakriti as the Upadhi. But the Purna Purusha Bhagavan is Nirupadi, without any Upadhis. This Upadhi, however, does not make the Purusha a conditioned being like the living beings in the material world. When we say the Virat is the Upadhi of Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Hiranyagarbha is the Upadhi of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karana is the Upadhi of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, it doesn't make them a conditioned soul. But it does mean, however, that he does not manifest all the features of Bhagavan. So Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, they don't manifest all the features of Bhagavan because they are connected with these Upadhis. But they are not conditioned souls. So the Purusha, which is the same as the Paramatma feature, is the controller of Maya and the living beings. He activates material nature, which is inert. Through the presence of the Jīva, who is his part, Bhagavan enlivens the material body and senses, thus he is called the Hetu Karta. So Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Karana, they are the Upadhis of the 3 Purushavasaras, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Mahavishnu respectively. But the Bhagavan or Vasudeva is beyond these three Purushas. Therefore, he is called a Turiya. That means he is beyond these three Purushas. Therefore, the Turiya of the, when you say Vasudeva is in the Turiya Avastha, that Turiya Avastha is distinct from the Jivatma's Turiya Avastha. That is what he is saying. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, okay, we'll just take one more anuccheda, briefly small. So now the fourth characteristics of the Jivatma. So what is the fourth characteristic? Vikaritvam nirasyannaha. Vikaritvam, denying the mutability of the Jivatma. Jivatma does not undergo any transformation. So the famous verse from the Gita is that Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Body undergo the transformation, but Jivatma does not undergo the transformation. But what is the verse from the Bhagavatam he quotes as a pramana? Can repeat the shloka. Visargadya shmashananta
Visargadhyah smashananta
bhava dehasya natmanah
भावादेहस्य नात्मनः
khalanamiva chandrasya
कलानामिव चन्द्रस्य
kale navyakta vartmana.
कालेन व्यक्तवर्त्मना.
So this is again from the Uddhav Gita 11.7.48. So Visargadya Smashananta Bhava Dehasya Natmanah. The various states beginning with birth and ending with death. Visarga Adya. Visarga means beginning with birth. Shmashana. Shmashana refers to cremation god. That means it refers to death. Smashananta. The various states beginning with birth and ending with death. Dehasya. They are caused by Kalena. They are caused by time. Kalena avyakta vartmana. Kalena avyakta vartmana. So these states are caused by time which cannot be ascertained. Time is avyakta, is invisible. And dehasya, these states belong to the body, na atmanah, and not to the atma. Dehasya na atmanah. And then analogy is given. Kalanam iva chandrasya. Just as the phases of the moon come and go without affecting the moon itself. The waxing and waning phases, they come and go, but they don't affect the moon itself. So similarly, the mutability is the quality of the body, but not of Atma. Atma never undergoes mutations. Atma is in a Atma is in a state. Atma never undergoes any transformation. So explanation. Chandrasya jalamaya mandalatvat kalanam suya pratichavi rupa jyotiratmakatvad yatha kalanameva janmadya nashanta bhavaha. So due to its being a fluid orbit, Chandra is actually Jalamaya Mandalatva. That is made of fluid orbit. So therefore, the moon has nothing more than reflect the light of the sun according to its different phases. Surya Pratichavi Rupa Jyotiratmakatvat. The moon does nothing more than reflect the light of the sun. Surya Pratichavi Rupa Jyotiratmakatvat. According to its different phases. its waxing and waning are those of the phases and not of the moon itself. So waxing and waning are those of the phases and not of the moon itself. So natu chandrasya tata dehasyaiva te bhava avyakta vartmana kalena bhavanti natu atmana ityartha. Similarly, the different states beginning with birth and ending with death, they are of the body alone. And these states are brought about by the passage of time and the course of which cannot be ascertained, avyakta vartmana. And they do not appertain to the Atma. Natu Atmana ityartha. Shri Dattatreyo Yadum. This verse is spoken by, I think, Dattatreya to Yadu. The Avaduta Brahmana to Yadu. So I'll read the commentary. So we see the moon waxing and waning, but in reality the moon does not wax or wane. Similarly, only the body undergoes various changes, but not the Atma. And the Jīva is unchanging, is corroborated by our personal experience. Because it's a normal analogy we always give. If you show your photo in the childhood, and then you say that I am the same person. I am the person, I am the same person in that photo. So even though the body has undergone changes, but we say I am the same person. So time is called as Avyakta Vartma, whose path is unmanifest. That means that we do not directly perceive the movement of time. But we only infer the existence of time from the changes it brings about. Anumeya Vartmano, there is a verse in the 4th canto. Shloka. Yeah. Sayesha Lokan Atichanda Vego Vikarshasitvam Kalukalayanaha Bhutani Bhutair Anumeya Tattvo Ghanavalir Vayuriva Vishakyaha. So one living entity is being destroyed by other living entity. But who is actually destroying? The time. Time is destroying different living entities through other living entities. You cannot see the time, but you can infer the presence of the time. Anumeya Tattvo. Just like the different clouds are getting dispersed. But can you see some person coming and dispersing the cloud? No, you don't see any person dispersing the clouds. The air is dispersing the cloud, but air is invisible. But how can you perceive the air? But you can do the anumana of the air by the action of the air. Dispersal of the clouds or bringing the clouds together. Similarly, we can do anumana of the time factor by the actions of the time factor. What is the action of the time factor? Destroying the living entities through other living entities. So therefore, time is called Avyakta Vartma. That means we do not directly perceive the movement of time, but only infer its existence. We have no sense faculty that allows for the direct perception of time. But we account for it by seeing the change or movement in some object, such as the movement of the sun or the change in one's own body. So, in truth, time does not move. It only affects changes in matter, which gives us the sense of its movement. Just as when we are sitting in the train, we think that so many trees are moving. But actually, trees are not moving. A platform is not moving, but only the train that moves. So, in the same way, that time appears to move. We say, oh, time is running. Oh, time is going so fast, like that we say. But actually, time is stationary. Time does not move. But time affects the changes in the matter. So, time is one of the general causes behind all actions or changes. There are certain common causes for all the actions. Time is one such cause. So, Jiva Goswami refers the moon as being jalamaya, fluid. So, this is the understanding of the Indian Jyotisha Shastra. Although it's not supported by the modern scientific finding, because scientists, they have not found it. They say that we have sent satellites and other things to the moon, but they have not found, they have not given that record that moon is actually Jalamaya. So one of the names of the moon in Sanskrit is Abja in Amarakosha. So which literally means Abja. Up means water. Up means water. Abja means born from the water. Water born. So therefore moon must be Jalamaya. But has any scientists who have sent satellites or went to the moon, have they found that moon is Jalamaya? Okay, that means they have not landed in the moon. So according to the popular myth of the churning of the ocean, the moon was one of the objects extracted from the churning of the sea. Moon also appeared from the churning of the ocean, na? Samudra Manthan. So therefore, the moon is believed to be watery. And it reflects the sun's rays, which make it look effulgent. Because it is reflecting the sun's rays, the moon is appearing to be effulgent. So just like basically the moon, the phases of the moon come and go without affecting the moon itself. Similarly, the body undergoes transformation, but the Atma does not undergo transformation. Atma is avikari. Atma does not have the quality of vikaritva. So we have
Prabhuji,
seen.
Prabhuji, now I understand why they say that it is because of the effect of the moon that the fruits get their juices, the plants and the vegetables they grow, because the moon itself is coming from water, so the moon is giving the water to the plants and the fruits, makes it more juicier. Now I understood. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So we have seen 4 characteristics. The fifth quality of Jivatma, that a Jivatma has the nature of consciousness and also has the capacity to know. Jivatma is made of jnana, and Jivatma is also the knower. So this fifth quality, it will be explained in 22nd anuccheda till 26th anuccheda. So we will see that in the next class. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Prabhuji, so for the Advaitavadis, there is no Paramatma also, no Bhagwan also, only Brahman exists. So their understanding is that.
In the Paramarthika Satta, there is only the Brahman. Ishvara, Jivatma, they are all present only in the Vyavaharika Satta.
Okay.
In the Paramarthika Satta, there is only the formless Brahman, nothing else. Not even the Vedas.
Acha.
No Vedas, no Bhagavan, no Jivatma. There is only the formless Brahman.
And after that, everyone merges into Brahman. So their understanding is that. Okay.
So therefore,
Okay.
they don't accept the plurality of the Jivatmas. Plurality of the Jivatma is only in the Vyavaharika level.
So, Prabhu, if
But
they
in
don't accept,
Paramarthika, there is only one Jivatma, who is none other than the Brahman.
if that is the case, they don't see that if one dies, the other many Jivatmas are there still alive. So in their understanding, if one that is there, everyone should die. Because if there is only Jivat.
There is also there are different problems with the Eka Jiva Vada. There is only one Jivatma. One Jivatma gets liberated, then others also should get liberated. So it leads to a absurd conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much. Thank you.
Prabhuji, why do they say it's according to a popular myth of churning the ocean? Why this word is there? Myth? According to the popular myth of churning of the ocean, Samudra Manthan, the moon was one of the objects extracted from the churning of the sea. So why do we?
But it's not a myth, it's a truth. Why it's mentioned as popular myth? Prabhupada quotes this in the third canto, second chapter. Also purport. It's like the fishes in the milk ocean considered moon to be like one another fish. Similarly, Uddhava is saying that Yadus considered Krishna to be like another Yadu. They didn't understand Krishna's exalted position as the Bhagavan. So Uddhava is lamenting that Yadus also did not understand the exalted position of Krishna. They understand Krishna to be like another Yadu, maybe some superior Yadu. But they didn't see him as Bhagavan. Just like the fishes in the milk ocean, they considered milk to be like another fish because moon was born from the milk ocean. Like that, that verse comes, third canto, second chapter. Correct.
So, but that was according to Rasa point of view, no? They didn't see like.
From Rasa point of view. Uddhava in separation from Krishna is feeling. Okay, stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय श्री प्रभुपाद